Hello everyone, back to today's second video. So the 5-day forecast already. You can find the video down here on the homepage. Just scroll down the page a bit and leave link ads. There's also a written version, get out via button at the top of the page. There'll be lots of dry weather coming up over the next 5 days, but by Monday we're probably going to be turning winds into the north. And this video is going to pick up the story beyond Monday, going through to day 10. Which is going to take us to around the 29th of April, so more or less the end of the month. And we'll see what's predicted to happen as we go through the final stages of the month. Now, later on today, we've got the third video coming up, and that one is going to look at the May Day Bank Holiday weekend. That will be with you this evening. Very good on video mode. This has been sent through, this picture has been sent through by Frank in Austria. Really wintry looking scene there in the Austrian mountains. They've had quite a bit of snow. It's sent through this morning, so they've had quite a bit of snow overnight. Another scene showing pretty deep snow there in the mountainous regions. I'm not sure what it's like down at lower levels, but certainly in the mountainous areas does look really quite wintry with fairly deep snow cover. Thanks to Frank for sending those. Thanks to Frank for sending those through. And if you have any weather pictures, don't have to be snow, it could be any sort of weather picture, do email them to us at gasservice@gmail.com. Always happy to feature them in the videos. Thanks to Frank for sending that through. Right, let's get on with the video then, and we'll start off with the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles next 2 weeks. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average. So, in terms of upper air temperatures, so we're generally quite a bit below average at the moment, but the temperatures will be lifting up more or less to average through the rest of this week and into the weekend. So the temperatures are going to recover a bit. It's not going to be a heat wave, but we're going to see temperatures going back up towards the mid-teens Celsius, which is about where they should be this time of year. We should also lose that frost risk at night as well. However, through the end of the weekend and into next week, clearly there's quite a significant cold snap developing again, and this one is going to take us well into next week. Actually, this is going through towards the end of April and start of May. 1st of May is just here, where the temperatures do look quite cool actually. Now, right at the very end, we do see signs that temperatures might be starting to recover. So through the first week of May, long way off of course, but through the first week of May, we might, just might, start to see some significantly warmer weather. But that is a very long way off, and I think the best to concentrate on this colder stuff that's coming up through next week in particular. So quite a cold snap appearing there through the course of next week. In terms of precipitation, loads of dry weather through the rest of this week. Into weekend and next week, it does look a little bit more unsettled. So with this colder stuff just here, it also looks more unsettled with some rainfall spikes. Now these will be mostly rain in the south. In the north, I wouldn't rule out the chance of something a bit wintry happening parts of Scotland and possibly northeastern England too, because there's going to be a really potent northerly wind that we're bringing down at the start of next week. Temperature anomalies for the next week. This goes from the 19th to 27th of April. Looks significantly colder than average through most parts of Europe. The British Isles coming out cold on average as well. Precipitation looks dry on average from 19th to 27th of April. How often have we said that over recent weeks and months? Dry on average in the west of Europe, more unsettled over in the east. This is how the GFS is looking for Sunday. We've got high pressure there to our south. Notice also high pressure is building in the northern Atlantic, going up towards Greenland just there. So this low pressure going to be pushed that way, and this is going to have the effect of turning winds into the north. So as we go through into start of next week, this takes us to Monday 24th of April, where quite clearly the wind is going northerly. And by Tuesday, the 25th of April, we are firmly in quite a strong and a cold northerly wind. The front of the isobars back, the air is originating from up here somewhere, pushing right down across the country. So that's a direct northerly / Arctic shotter there that's coming down across the country. We'll feel that next week. Temperatures are going to be struggling, even in the south, I think, really, to get into double figures. In the north, probably only around 5 or 6 degrees. And there will also be showers coming down this northerly wind. It will be a total surprise if those showers are wintry in the north. Probably just rain showers down in the south. But this is a really potent northerly wind that's coming down here. next week on the GFS. So this is Wednesday 26th, week away. Still, again, the wind is moving down from the north. Now, the second half of next week, I think we lose the coldest of the air. Notice the air is originating more from the east. It'll still be pretty chilly, but we'll lose that sort of direct Arctic feed of air. But this looks potentially quite cold and wet, really, for England and Wales. This low pressure on Friday 28th of April was sitting just off the East Anglian coast. Winds in from the east-northeast. So that could be pretty dismal for the end of next week. Further north, we are close to this ridge of high pressure, so it'll be better up in the north and west. Of course, this little feature just here, it's a long way off. This might not actually come to anything in the end. So chances are we won't really see that little low pressure sitting there off the East Anglian coast at the end of next week. But if we did, it would certainly be quite a cold and wet end to next week. We run up to day 10, which is Saturday 29th of April, and we move that low pressure out of the way into central parts of Europe with high pressure building in from the Atlantic. Of course, by then, at that high pressure, the risk would be quite significant and damaging, because it's the end of April, damaging night frost. The east end of the earth looks like this, so high pressure is close to us over the weekend. A good deal of dry weather then, but through the start of next week, there's the winds going into the north again. Through Monday and Tuesday, we bring down this direct Arctic feed of air across the country. With cold northerly wind, will deliver wintry showers to the north and probably night frost as well. We go through to the second half of next week. We don't really get that low pressure sitting off the East Anglian coast. That's probably the low pressure that the GFS wants to have just off the east coast on Friday, 28th of April. East Anglian is placing that somewhere around Denmark. So just to show you, we might not have to worry about that little low pressure anyway. The general theme through next week will be to lose the worst of the northerly feed. So we should lose the worst of the Arctic influence. But it will still be cool and probably still quite showery, especially so up in the north. That's how we finish on day 10. That chart just there is how we finish on day 10. With, again, we're still in a cool, pretty chilly northwesterly feed. It isn't as cold as it is at the start of the week next week. But even so, it's still pretty cool and still pretty showery. So it looks like we're going to be ending April on quite a cool and maybe even cold and showery note. Finally, just having a look at the Beijing Climate Centre next 40 days. So these are 500 metre heights broken down into 10-day periods. The first 10-day period takes us from the 21st through to the 30th of April, so the current 10 days. We've got the ridge of above average heights to our west. We've got below average heights over here across Scandinavia to the east, and the winds will be coming down from a cool north to north-westerly direction. I should say, the second 10-day period, which takes us through the first 10 days of May. This goes from the 1st through to the 10th of May. Bit of a change. Got below average heights out to our west. Above average heights are around Greenland and Iceland. That looks quite a bit more unsettled, really. Quite significantly unsettled, I would have thought. That trough throwing up bands of rain across the country from the Atlantic. Next 10-day period from the 11th through to the 20th of May looks like this. Quite a lot of blocking across Greenland. That's not normally a very good sign. Low pressure is underneath it with the jet stream coming through like that. So again, that one's probably quite changeable as well. And then we go through to the final 10 days, which is the 21st through to the 30th of May, through to the end of the spring. And signs of improvement then. The trough is being centred in the middle of the Atlantic. Above average heights are building over and to our east. So we'll think the upshot of that is do something like that with jet stream. It does place us on the warm side of the jet and probably brings up quite warm, maybe even fairly hot air from the south. So we could finish May on a very summery note in that sort of scenario. It's a very long way off, and I don't think we should worry too much about May at this stage. I think for the rest of April, though, we are looking at really quite cool conditions, especially early next week, where it does turn distinctly cold with wind coming down from the Arctic, which isn't what we want to be seeing really at the end of April, but that's what we're going to get, I think. So it is going to turn quite a lot cold next week, and expect wintry showers up in the north, probably fairly significant night frost as well, where skies are clear. So don't put out those tender plants just yet. You have put them out, cover them up. And don't put your winter woolies away just yet either. I think we'll feel that northerly wind early next week. Right, the final update today will be around 7 o'clock this evening, and we'll look at the May Day bank holiday weekend. But we'll be with you around 7 o'clock tonight. So, third update for May Day. Come back for that then. That's all now. Thanks for watching.